Let's say you're running a hotel in a place like Chiang Mai, Thailand. It's beautiful, no doubt, but you are surrounded by competitors. So how do you make your place stand out? Well, the obvious answer, right? Marketing. It's supposed to be the secret sauce for success. But what if it's not?
I mean, what if that whole playbook we all know, the clever pricing, the splashy ads, what if it's completely disconnected from what actually makes a business succeed and keeps its customers happy? Well, that's exactly the mystery we're going to unravel today.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Chiang Mai. Gorgeous, vibrant, a massive hub for tourists. But if you're a hotel owner there, it's a battleground. You've got hotels and resorts packed in everywhere, all fighting for the same guests. Every single booking is a hard-fought win. The pressure is really on. So to try and figure out what really separates the successful hotels from the ones that struggle, a group of researchers decided to go behind the scenes. They launched a study to really dissect the marketing strategies happening on the ground in this super competitive environment. First thing they did, they sat down with 19 different hotel and resort managers. You know, the people actually making the day-to-day decisions. And they went deep, trying to understand not just what marketing they were doing, but the why behind it all. But here's the crucial part. They didn't just talk to the managers. To see if any of these strategies were actually paying off, they also surveyed 189 guests to get a read on their real-world satisfaction. So now you've got both sides of the coin, the hotel's plan and the customer's actual experience.
And here's a really key detail about who these businesses were. Nearly 58% of them were sole proprietorships. So we're not talking about giant faceless corporate chains for the most part. Think smaller, maybe even family-run businesses. And that's super important because it means their resources and probably their whole approach to marketing are going to be a lot different.
So what did they find when they looked at the strategies? Well, it turns out most of these hotels were sticking to a very traditional, classic marketing playbook. They were all focused on the 3 Ps: product, price, and promotion. Let's break down what that actually looked like. All right, first up, product. Now, in the hotel business, product is so much more than just a room. It's everything. It's the feeling of the sheets, the speed of the Wi-Fi, the smile you get at the front desk. It is the entire experience, from the moment you walk in the door to the moment you check out. And when it came to their product, these managers were absolutely laser-focused on the basics. 2 things were considered non-negotiable, things that were always implemented: sanitation and cleanliness, and prompt, courteous service. They just knew that if they didn't nail those 2 things, nothing else really mattered. And you can tell this wasn't just some policy written in a handbook. It was a core belief. As one manager put it, cleanliness wasn't just for show. It was about protecting the health and safety of their guests. It was their fundamental promise to every single person who stayed with them. Okay, next up is the second P, price. It's the number on your bill, sure, but how hotels figure out that number, well, that reveals a whole lot about their strategy. Forget about complicated software and dynamic pricing algorithms. These managers were overwhelmingly practical. They based their prices on 2 really simple ideas: covering their costs and offering discounts when needed. All those fancy psychological tricks, like pricing at $99 instead of $100, yeah, they rarely did that. This was just good, old-fashioned, straightforward pricing. And that brings us to the third and final P, promotion. This is all about how you cut through the noise. How do you convince a traveler to choose your hotel over the one right next door? And what they found here really says it all. The one promotional tactic that was always used, simply greeting customers and being friendly. Now, compare that to traditional advertising. Sure, they used some print media, but it wasn't nearly as consistent as that fundamental person-to-person connection. So the big insight here is pretty clear. These managers didn't believe their success came from fancy ad campaigns. They believed their most powerful, most effective marketing tool was a simple, genuine human connection. For them, friendliness was the strategy. So, we have the playbook, right? A clean hotel, friendly service, fair prices, and a focus on personal connection. Sounds like a winning formula, doesn't it? Well, this is where our story takes a very, very sharp and unexpected turn. You see, the whole underlying assumption of marketing is that, well, that it works. You'd expect that the hotels that have the best marketing would be the most successful and have the happiest guests. That's the entire point of doing it, right? To drive results. So the researchers put this idea to the test with 2 huge questions.
First, do these marketing practices actually line up with business factors, like the size or ownership type of the hotel? And second, and this is arguably the most important one, do they have any connection at all to how satisfied customers actually are?
Now, pretty much everyone, the hotel managers, the researchers, probably you and me, we would all expect the answer to be a resounding yes. But when they crunched the numbers, the data told a completely different story. And here it is, the absolute punchline of the entire study. The analysis found, get this, no significant statistical relationship between their marketing practices and business factors, or customer satisfaction. Let me just say that again. All that effort on pricing, on promotion, on product focus had no measurable impact on how the business performed or how happy the guests were. Zero. Nothing.
That is just a stunning discovery. If the standard marketing playbook is completely disconnected from the results, then what actually works? What's the real lesson for these businesses, and hey, maybe for all of us?
Well, the researchers' final recommendations basically shift the whole focus away from marketing tactics and back toward just operational excellence. They suggest things like better staff training, providing great facilities, and doubling down on that prompt and courteous service. It's all about creating a fundamentally fantastic experience. Even their point about strengthening promotion wasn't about more ads. It was about making sure the promise you make actually matches the reality you deliver.
And that really leaves us with a huge, provocative question. In a world that is so obsessed with complex marketing funnels and clever growth hacks, what if the most powerful strategy of all is just being excellent at what you do? Maybe true success isn't found in how you talk about your business, but in the undeniable quality of the experience you provide.